Hello, hockey fans. The Minnesota Hockey Connection is on the air. This is our first show for the new year, 23-24 season. And already there's a lot of hockey. And for our first guest, a former Duluthan, and he's got a great story to tell about a team he ran for many years out in Sun Valley, Idaho. And a lot of locals played for this team. His name is John Burke, but everyone calls him Cubby. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks, Jerry.
Cubby.
I really appreciate it.
Yep. Yeah. So tell us a little bio on your life growing up in Duluth and what happened. You went to California and that. Tell us a little bit.
Yeah, I was a boomer after the war, born here, and grew up in the Woodland area and Woodland Avenue, Glen Avon boy. And I remember we were just going to Cathedral. I went to Holy Rosary freshman year, and I had been invited to try out for Cathedral. And my dad came home and said, "We're moving to California." 1964, and my sister Debbie was a cheerleader for Duluth Cathedral, the hockey team, and myself were kind of devastated. And I remember not telling anybody because I didn't want to tell Del General, because I was hoping he'd change his mind, and he didn't over the weekend, and I had to go tell Del that we were moving to California, and I was wondering if I could still skate with you guys. And he said, I'm going to just, you were probably going to make the team, but I think he was just telling me that to make me feel good.
Right.
It made me feel worse.
And those were the best Cathedral teams of all time.
It would have been a chore to
state.
make. Yeah, it would have been a chore to make those teams. And if I did make it, they wouldn't have won 5 in a row. I'll tell you that. Maybe 3 of them.
Okay, so you go to California.
Yep.
And then what part of California?
Northern California, Ukiah, and there wasn't a hockey rink to be found. I was devastated.
So that's a high school in town you went to?
Yeah, I went to Ukiah High. I graduated from there in '68, and that after that senior party, and that next morning, I got on an airplane and came right back to Duluth.
Okay.
To 75. That's how much I wanted to be here.
And then what did you do in those 7 years in Duluth? You went to school at UMD?
I went to UMD for a couple years. I tried to get back in playing senior hockey and trying to get to see where I was at with that. I spent a lot of time trying to do that with different senior league teams. And then when Scholastica had a team, Dell asked me to try out for that team, another opportunity for him to cut me. So that's what happened there. Tommy Cartier said, "I didn't think we cut anybody off that first team." Well, they cut me.
That's funny.
And from there, I went to Reno and was playing for a couple months. And I remember the GM coming into the room and say, "We found someone better than you." And I said, "What took you so long?" And that's when I went to Sun Valley, because Hermie Havik, who was a Duluth East boy, and his wife, Linda Lou, moved there right after they got married. Hermie was an incredible skier, and he worked on the ski patrol. But they started a hockey team in 1975 called the Sun Valley Suns. And I went there. They had already played 4 games. There was 8 games left on their inaugural schedule, and I went and played the season out there and came back to Duluth for the summer.
Oh, what kind of a team and league was this? I mean, it was just for fun, basically, or was it pretty serious?
Well, no, it was always for fun, but the community got behind the team, where at the beginning there was 1,500 people at every game, and it was just going crazy, and we were playing teams from Aspen and a few other teams, and it just caught fire. George Gund, who built the rink at Sun Valley, who also owned the California Golden Seals at the time, later went on to own the Cleveland Barons and then the Minnesota North Stars, and also started the San Jose Sharks, was part of the team and took care of that team for 20 years. It's got a storied history. We're going into our 49th year. It's a senior A elite team composed of, I think there's 3 D1 guys, about 10 D3 guys, some ex-pros, the kinds of guys that played major, junior, It's a good team and it's good hockey.
So you got some really good hockey players that know the game.
Yeah, we play 26 games from beginning of December till the middle of March, anywhere between 500 and 1,000 people, depending on who we're playing, because they're pretty savvy fans after 49 years.
So how many teams in the league when you were playing?
Well, when I was playing, we were independent. We had recently started a league called the Black Diamond Hockey League with Jackson Hole, Park City, and Bozeman, and ourselves. And it's getting reorganized right now. It's hoping to relaunch next year. So, but for most of the existence, we were independent, playing teams from all over the country, and not only traveling to Japan and Europe.
Really?
Yes, yeah. And there's been a storied history of a lot of Duluth players, especially at the beginning.
Name some players that you can remember. Phil Haney, I think you told me.
Well, Phil Haney played. Jimmy Mertz.
Duluth East and Phil Haney, Duluth Cathedral, one of the best players that ever came out of our state, played for the LA Kings.
Yeah, in fact, he came there, excuse me, in the winter of 77, 78, I think, pretty much fresh out of the organization. I remember I was playing on a line with Rip Kirby, who was another Duluth product, and I was having a decent year. I was leading the team, and I think we only had 8 games left, and I had something like 28 points. And after Phil being there for 8 games and me being there for 34, I think I beat him by 1 point.
He was on your line?
No. I didn't play with him that year. After that year, I was fortunate enough to play with him for 3 years, and I'm telling you, it was, he's still there in Twin, and I was laughing with him at our golf tournament, saying, I never was the same after I carried you for 3 years, Phil.
Yeah, he never came back to Minnesota. He stayed out there.
Yeah, he lives in Twin Falls now. Yep.
In Boise, Idaho, he lived for many years.
Yeah, and they retired in Twin Falls, yeah.
Yeah.
It was a treat, I'll tell you. I mean, my grandmother would have had more points,
And the Mertz family, big hockey family.
Yeah.
I mean, he had all his brothers. They were all good hockey players.
Really good, yeah. A lot of UMT players out of that family.
Wow, this is great.
Yeah.
So the Mr. Gunn, he paid for all this traveling and
he
sticks.
He did this for the first 20 years of the organization.
Okay.
He was a main benefactor, and we all appreciated it. He'd take us to North Stars game, and I mean, George was 1 in a million. He was just and he loved hockey. He lived and breathed hockey. So,
why did he ever sell the North Star? Was that a trade when he got Cleveland and then went to San Jose? Was there something went on there? If I remember.
Yeah, it did go on, but I mean, I talking about the details. I know when he got the North Stars, it was a merger deal with the Cleveland Barons,
right,
who we owned at the time.
Okay.
In fact, when they made that merger, we got all the Cleveland Barons equipment because we were the same colors.
Okay. Wow, nice.
Yeah. So, and then after that, I know he sold it to Norm Green.
Oh, don't say that name.
Green.
People.
I know. I still haven't gotten over that.
How he did that? Moved that team to Texas. Oh my God.
Yeah, we won't talk about that.
I thought this was going to be the biggest riots in the street ever.
Yeah, the NHL starts tonight. We'll talk about the Wild.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, there's 3 games tonight.
Yeah.
Come to think of it, and then
Connor
Minnesota
Bedard.
Wild play on Thursday night with Florida coming into town.
Yep.
And I'll be at that game. So
Yep.
I'm kind of excited for National Hockey League to start. A lot of young kids are made a lot of these teams. I was looking at different rosters and that, so you might see some future stars.
I think Crosby's playing against Bedard tonight, meaning the Penguins are
Yes.
playing against Chicago. We have to remember the rest of the team.
Right. Well, Chicago has a way to go. I just saw the Minnesota Gophers, and they have a couple kids, Oliver Moore and Sam Rinzo, and Big D, 6'4", out of Chaska. And Oliver Moore played for the National Development Team, but he snapped a shot. Holy cow, the goalie, what the heck? It went past him so fast on top of the face-off circle. I mean, wow, what a wrister that kid has.
Boy, they can shoot it now.
And they're both Chicago draft picks, and I can see down the line. I mean, give the Chicago Blackhawks about 2-3 years, and I think they're going to be back in it again.
Yeah,
They're
I
doing a
believe-
good job on these young kids on what they're drafting, I think.
I believe you.
We'll see. Yep. So the National Hockey League starts tonight, and that's Tuesday, and starts going every night. And I think ESPN and TNT will have most of the games again. So look in your TV guide, and you'll find out which games they're doing. So back to this team out in Sun Valley, Idaho. How close are you out to Tahoe?
We're quite a ways from Tahoe. I mean, we're in South Center Idaho. Sun Valley is a world-class ski resort.
Okay.
The area is unbelievably beautiful
Okay.
with a lot to offer.
Okay.
And a lot of people. I mean, there's still a lot of Duluth people that lived there that came in the '70s. There's been some names like Lenny Green and Dickie Nelson, Tim Jennison,
Lenny
Dale
Green,
Johnson.
not the little kid that played catcher for the Little League team.
Yeah, yeah, and he played at Central. Yeah, he was a fan favorite. They love Lenny.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's amazing. So, how do you recruit these players when they're not going to get paid? Is it just that hockey's in their blood and heart that they want to continue just playing? And
Yeah, that's actually what you're looking for. I mean, you create a network of people that you talk to around the hockey community. You know how small it is around the country and
Right.
and different places, and then you just keep that network active, and you're watching for people. But what the comment we get most often is you might have somebody that's even just a little disillusioned with the game because they didn't have a great college experience, and they always come and play, and they say, this is the most fun I've ever had playing hockey. Because the organization is really good and takes care of its players in the community. You know, we do a lot of charity work in the community, and we play a full schedule. It's like a college schedule every Friday and Saturday night.
Okay.
In November, we're going to put about 30 hours of practice time before we start.
Okay.
And then we'll practice one night a week, Wednesday, and play almost every Friday and Saturday. Christmas off, one weekend a month off. And it's just fun, and we take care of our players. They're not being paid, but we make sure that they're comfortable in the job we've helped them find and in the housing. So, and it's a family, and that's always been our motto.
So these cities that you have, is the rentals pretty reasonable?
Nowadays, housing. When you talk about housing, you're talking about a very difficult situation.
Right.
We always find a way.
Okay. So you were player?
How
How many years?
They got me down for 13, but it was really only 11.
Was counting. And then you went into coaching, right?
Yeah.
Or were you a player coach too?
Well, that's why they have me down for 13, because I dressed for one game each year and played one shift watching people fly by me.
See, this is what you don't do.
Yeah. And I had to wear, because we had like a bug go through the room both year, and there was hardly any.
Right.
Yeah. So I was not a player coach.
So then you went into coaching for many years.
Yep.
So what
20.
did you say? 20 years. Wow.
Yeah.
20 years.
Two
And then-
different 10-year shifts.
And then basically the last 4 or 5 years, you were basically the president, general manager, whatever of the team.
Yeah, I was
kind of
also-
running the organization.
I was running the whole organization both times, and now they've kind of put me out to pasture. I put myself out to pasture. That's when you name yourself like president of hockey operations, and you just have had too many birthdays, and you don't really do too much.
Yeah.
It's
So, what was the hardest part as a general manager when you have a league that's basically for fun, you don't get paid and all that, but these players finish their college, D3, D1 and that, and some pro players are done with their career in the pros. They come there and they don't get paid, but they want to play hockey, and then it's a new start, a new area to look at. So what was the hardest part about having a team, and was it figuring out the traveling, the schedule,
It takes a lot of organization and a lot of hours where behind the scenes where you're just making sure, everything's taken care of. And then when the games actually start or the travel, you're putting out fires. And whereas a coach, sometimes you're starting fires. You know what I mean? But the most enjoyable part of it was coaching. But the challenge of putting everything together was definitely a task. But it was so enjoyable to see how much fun everybody had.
So was this a pretty competitive league? So,
Yeah, most people, anybody that comes and watch games, even guys that have been in the show, are played at a high level because we get a lot of Boise Steelheads that come out of the East Coast, come over and play for us. They're shocked how good it is, you know, how fast it is.
Right.
And, you know, we're more of a skill possession team that likes to have a lot of time and not a lot of physicality. We do play some teams with that, so they even have more fun. So that's kind of off their plate. They don't have to worry about, you know, Donniebrooks all the time.
Yeah. So I'm looking at some of these towns or cities that have teams, and they seem like all basically pretty close to being all ski towns, you know?
Well, that's why it was called the Black Diamond Hockey League, which is, you know, Black Diamond for the hardest slopes.
Okay.
And also the teams were shaped in geographically in a diamond.
Huh.
The original 4.
Okay.
So,
But, okay, here's what's coming to my mind right now. The traveling. There's got to be a lot of snow going through these towns. I mean, snowstorms, they want snowstorms.
that's your biggest concern, the weather going up to Jackson, getting over the summit, or them coming to us, or going to McCall, driving through.
What do they have to come in a day early or something?
Well, believe me, we've had a few series canceled over the years, but a minimum amount.
Right.
Well, not only that, you got people flying in from Boston, Minneapolis,
really,
St. Louis, from all over the country,
just for the weekend games.
Yeah, you know.
So they don't practice; they just come in for the games.
Yeah, but some of them are legitimate teams, like Bobby Farley, the famous movie director from Dumb and Dumber, and Something About Mary, and Me, Myself, and Irene. He brings a team every year of ex-NHL, ex-American Hockey League players that come and play us, and we sell out the place because their team is so good and the series is so good.
So you're out there, and you were a player, and you loved it. You stayed out there.
It was the only team that ever took me.
And then the coach.
Yeah.
Was that fun?
I love the coaching part of it. You know, you're learning all the time. You're trying to stay 4 or 5 steps ahead. You got a different kind of dynamic because you're not paying them. You're not giving them a scholarship.
Right.
So, you know, they're playing for the love of the game for most of them.
So it's kind of like a rink rat league.
It is, but, you know, I never want to kind of discredit it or anything because you got people like now Mike Curry and Max Tardy who played at UMD playing for us.
Really?
Right? And then you got Nick Curry, Mike's brother. And then you got some kids that were standout D3 players and stuff. So these guys are playing really good competitive hockey and dedicating a lot of their time to the commitment to make sure that we're a good, successful team and then giving back to their community. So, yeah, they love the game, and those are the guys that, you know, that come. I've had guys come. I don't know how many people. Like Parker Weeks is playing for us now. He's the first third-generation son.
Huh.
His grandfather played. His father played, who was also a trainer for the Rangers and the Bruins. And he played at Scholastica. And he's having a blast playing hockey right now.
So how do you recruit all these teams? Is there someone that's coaching one of the other teams is basically back east kind of guy, and he knows all these different.
That's exactly it.
It's who you know, and then you just put the word out. Someone want to play hockey after college, or
I have sent emails to almost every coach in every league at certain years. Then they know the name of the team. So if someone's want to go to, they decide between going to Europe or go play in a world-class ski resort, you know, stuff like that, you know, that. So they call, and you have to be honest with them. You have to tell them, we're not going to pay you, but we're going to take care of you. And, you know, we're going to make sure you have a good time. And and that's the kind of player that we're talking to all the time.
So most of them have to find
and we're looking for a
job,
goalie right now. If anybody's out there.
I'll get Tara's Linzick, and maybe he'll have someone from his camp.
Yeah, we talked to him. We are definitely looking for a goalie right now.
Okay, growing up, you know how it was. We were rink rats, and the best rink rats were played the most time on these high school teams. And that was just the way it is. And the North we just dominated anything in the cities back then.
Duluth had the best youth hockey program in the country.
But now, times are different. We don't have year-round camps besides a goalie camp by Terrace Linzick, the old UMD goalie who broke almost every record in goaltending at UMD. And he's about the only one I know that does a year-round. There's skating coaches, but they only take a player and they might only work with them a couple weeks or something, you know. It's not year-round usually. But down in the cities, I was down there at the showcase, and just started talking. I wanted a little more information on these big camps they have, like MAP. They have over 1,500 kids. They play 8 months out of the year, 3 hours, 5 days a week, and they get everything: weight training, skating, shooting. They get going to computer class where they show if you're in this position, what you do at that. This, it looks like this. This where you throw the puck, or what you do, you know, and what another player should do, or you know, they're showing you everything: how to get smarter, how to get better shooter, better skater, everything. And we can't compete with that no more because we don't have that. Rink rat will not do it. We'll get teams up here now. Maybe every 5 years, a good team will have a little better team that might be able to compete a little bit, but year in, year out, we're out.
Yeah, I mean, it's a whole different scenario than when we grew up. I mean, you got good by playing hockey all day long and into the night at your local outdoor rink like Longview, Lower Chester, Condon, Portman, Glenavon, Morgan Park. You can keep going on and on and on. Where these guys, and the hockey players that got developed from there were the guys that first played in the NHL. You know, the Stan Gilbertsons, the Butchie Williams, the Tommy Williams, the Phil Haneys, the Mark Heeslips. I could keep going on and on. And
crazy.
And once the team picture in the spring was, you took that and the hockey was over, you went right into baseball or golf.
Right.
You know?
Then it was raining.
Yeah. And then football.
Yeah.
And then hockey.
Yeah, we played.
You didn't do a hockey camp.
But I had a friend out in California, and he had 3 kids at different levels, U14, and they played for the Anaheim Ducks and LA Kings teams. And he was paying $100,000, but that's still, you can only have, like in Southern California, 50 kids on the 14, 16, and 18 teams. So anyone else that wants to play hockey has to send their kid someplace else at 15 years old. So kids all over the United States, they go someplace at 15. Where Minnesota kids, community hockey, they never left home. And it's a big difference. And that's why you look at rosters and all, where in the hell? Every state of the union has hockey players. Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah, it really is, and it's very select now. So it's
more of a money sport now than ever.
Yeah, it is. But the skill they're producing is off the charts. I mean, if you play at any level in college right now, you are one heck of a hockey player.
Right.
If you make a college team, no matter what it is, D3, even if you're a D1 club player, you're a very, very good hockey
even
player.
playing in the juniors, if you're playing in a Tier 1 or Tier 2 league, you're going to see great hockey.
Yeah,
it's up and down action.
Yeah, and it is specialized now, and it's a whole different game since our ancient times and stuff. But I remember the rink setup and the guys in the youth hockey, the great coaches like the Williams brothers and Roy Mikowski, and they were at all these different rinks, and they produced a lot of great hockey players. Mr. Jordat at Glenavon, all these guys. It was incredible. But it's, now the players are so good. They're so skilled. They move so well. And not only that, they play their ability to be skillful at speed. you know.
Another problem I see in youth hockey, where I'm talking teenagers, high school, is that the parents put a lot of money up. Like I was saying, in the cities, that was just one group that does about 1,500 plus. There's two other big ones like that, and then there's at least 20, 25 small ones of like 100 kids, camps out for 8 months, and that. So we're talking way over 5,000 kids, and they're all paying 5,000 plus sticks, a lot more sticks. So you're getting up over 10,000 with the equipment and everything. And here you got over 5,000 kids, and then all of a sudden, your friend, you're better, you're doing this with your friend together, and all of a sudden, you're better than your friend, but your friend gets picked for the team and you don't. Then the mental aspect that caused all that money, all that time, it just, to me, doesn't make sense. But that's the way it is, and it's kind of sad to me.
Yeah,
For Minnesota community hockey.
yeah, it is tough. It's a business now.
And that's why USHL's taking our best players now. And we started John Russo, bless his soul, he just passed away this year, and he started the Elite League. Him and Herb Brooks were trying to do it together, but John started it 20 years ago when the Wild first started. And it worked great because it kept the kids here, and we got the extra 24 games. So, I mean, it's just a lot of changes that I'm used to the old days.
Yeah, me too. But I will tell you, though, I still see a lot of players with a lot of passion for the game.
That's what we need, as
And-
long as you're having fun.
And hockey passion is so deep and thick. There's only two people that can take that away from you, a coach or a parent, you know. But to love the game, to grow up with the game, to understand everything about the game and the community involved around the game, it's unbelievable.
So, a person that's just getting done with their D3 or D1 and they still want to play, have fun, and play a very competitive little league, who do you get a hold of in the Sun Valley Suns and get more information on this?
You can still get a hold of me.
Okay.
And I will pass it along. I'm still doing the recruiting and the scheduling.
And what's your information to get a hold of you?
I'll give it to you, Jerry, and they can call you. No. They can email me at suns14@icloud.com.
Okay. Suns, S-U-N-S.
SUNS14 at icloud.com. They can also go on our website, which is svsunshockey.com.
Okay, svsunshockey.com.
Yeah.
Well, there you go, folks. And that's our first show of the season. We've got about 30 more to go. But we're back, and hockey's back. We got the college, juniors, the pros start tonight, and high school starts in 6 weeks. So we're back. So thank you, PACT-TV Studios, Jim, Liz, Vicky. We enjoy your productions. Thank you.